Hey everybody, welcome to CF 2.0 Geek Out. Susan here, Andrea, Dan, and we're here to give you some updates from ClickFunnels, but also Dan has some cool stuff that he's going to show at the end, so make sure you stay open loop. We are, I don't know, what are we doing first? Should we? I'll let everyone say hello and then we'll dive in.
Should we do the polls first? Just an update on the polls first, and then we can dive into Dan's goodies.
All right, happy Friday. That's Madison there. Hey, Madison.
Yay! Happy Friday, Madison.
If you are joining us, say hello. We want to know who's watching, and then if you have something cool you want to share it in the comments, and we can help celebrate or answer a question or two. And yeah, we'll see how much time we have at the end. So, what was it? Tuesday? Wednesday? I don't even remember at this point. But Russell went live this week with a Pulse.
Wednesday.
And I have it right here. It was sometime this week, 2 days ago, Wednesday. He had Ben Moot on. Shout out to Ben.
Woohoo!
And they were showing off more templates. So they just added in 37 more templates into 2.0. And it was a variety of things, right? It was some opt-ins, some webinar opt-ins, maybe probably some sales pages and some order pages. Was there anything else that kind of stood out to you too on the templates front?
No, I think it's interesting, right? Of like just that play of adding a ton more templates in. It's just an interesting play of why that. And then they also did go through workflows, which I think they haven't talked a lot about that. And so I thought that was also an important one.
Yeah.
Well, they're also showing behind the scenes of some of their actual funnels that they have live and running. And Russell kept making the joke. It's like, oh, people say that ClickFunnels isn't working. And they're like, well, here it is. We have all these funnels live. We have our workflows live. We're bringing in all kinds of money. And yeah, we all know there's little goofy glitches and things like that we're all struggling with. But these guys are making a ton of money selling products using 2.0 right now. And so, be careful, but also be aware that it does work.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that's the I think that's probably what really great marketers do, right? Is they do this like it's either black or white. It's either working or not working. It's right or wrong. It's good or bad. It's, you know what I mean? Like, I think because what that does is it makes it feel like it's simple, right? And so I think if like we ask the question, is it working or not working? Of course, yes, it's working, and yes, people can make a lot of money with it. But I think it's the nuance and the pain that people express are not in the black and white. It's working, it's not working, right? And so I think that's where it's just, we could probably learn from a marketing perspective about what Russell's doing, and in true geek out form, there's also just like the keep it real on there is stuff that's still not working, the way it needs to be in order to feel okay bringing people over.
Yeah. I was just going to say that you guys can hear me. Yeah. I feel like I keep talking over you. I was going to say, yeah, that piece that Russell said stood out to me too. And it made me stop and think, and I'm just going to let the video play in the background. I think it's maybe kind of interesting to watch rather than a frozen screen. It made me think of like, well, how do I feel now? I kind of had to do a reassessment. I'm like, okay, Russell says that it's like working. He told the story of his friend reaching out and Russell was asking him why he's not using 2.0 yet. And he's like, I don't know. I'm just waiting for it to be done. And Russell's like, it's done. Why are you not using it? And I wouldn't say that it's done. I'd say it's far from done. And that was maybe a weird word to choose because they still have phase 2 to bring out. They still have things to fix in phase 1. But I think his point was like, it's ready. It's ready for you to go and use. And so that was like, for me, I was like, okay, well, how do I feel about it now? And I took an assessment of like, okay, funnels. I think that funnels are good. Workflows are good. Payments, we've been able to collect payments. We just had another member join Geek Out Academy this morning. And I think the only and then like domains were having a lot of issues about a month or so ago, and those seem to be mostly okay. We're still working around the issue of connecting directly into funnels. Dan's got a fix for that. So I took this assessment and I was like, okay, I feel really good about bringing a client into it. I haven't noticed Dan might say otherwise. But me personally, I haven't noticed anything majorly glitchy happening. And Dan can maybe say his side of that if he feels like it. And the only thing other than that is just courses is not up to par. And I think the ClickFunnels team knows that. They're working on it. I don't know who that is in the comments, but it's probably Matt. Oh, Tad. Tad says, I feel like I want 2.0 to be as simple as 1.0. And I have mixed feelings on that because I feel like 1.0 is simple because there wasn't as much. Yeah. Also, we all are kind of used to 1.0. And then we go over to 2.0. And so Andrea and I were just saying, this was it yesterday, where we're like, oh, why can't 1.0 have universal products? Like,
yes, oh my gosh, yes.
Every time I'm creating a new funnel. And I was like, yeah, I know. Like when I'm in 1.0, I'm like, oh, why can't I have a style guide? Like there are so many good things in 2.0 that make 2.0 actually more simple than 1.0. And I think that maybe we focus a lot on the things that are a little complex or things that are we're still trying to learn how to use. And I think as we start learning it and realize the power within it, we'll appreciate that it's a little more complex and not as simple because it's giving us more abilities. It's going to allow us to do more things with our businesses.
Yeah, I mean, with 1.0, you basically, you had funnels and you had memberships. And now look at all the other stuff you're going to have. But I mean, just the simplicity of how you set up products now. I mean, setting up a product and having it run across everything, but then they've added so much other stuff into setting up a product because you can have so many possibilities now. And again, I think they're having to build out the product probably even more than they would have, knowing that Shopify or the capabilities of Shopify essentially are going to be built into this thing eventually. So they got to give us every possible way that we can work with products. And again, in the long run, we were just talking earlier about the Liquid, I don't know if it's a programming language or exactly what it is that they use in Shopify that they're going to probably, we don't know 100% until I see it, but they're probably going to be integrating that all into ClickFunnels or something very, very similar to it. So anybody who's used to using Shopify should be able to jump in here and just start being able to build pages and whatever else, straight off the, but again, we don't know until we see it.
Yeah. Yep. And I do think, again, I know that the CRM is a big deal, and the base functionality is there, but it's far from, like, I would not bring my active campaign members over there yet, and so again, that plays into it. But on that note, I will say I am really happy with, and yesterday was super fun in the Geek Camp that we're starting to do, and that is the should and when should I switch, and so we've identified some of those key other platforms where if you are debating, like, should I switch and is it ready and should I come over, we're starting to tackle that head on Geek Camps, which I think what we did yesterday about Kajabi, I think it hopefully will help with like really good conversations in the community, right, in our Geek Out community, but also hopefully it'll help people with the, like, is it ready? Where I think what I'm hearing, Susan and Dan, what you guys are talking about is we're constantly asking and trying to push ourselves into a yes, you know what I mean? But we can't in good conscience until it's really there. And so it's always this interesting debate.
I'm putting the link to that Geek Camp into the comments of the live in CF 2.0 Geek Out group. If you are not in the Geek Out group right now and you're watching this somewhere else, come join the Geek Out group. It's where we stream most of the stuff.
So Susan had pulled up before the Pulse. If you go back to the Pulse, you can go from there into your requests for feature requests and things like that. And something that Russell said, I guess probably a week or so ago today, 10 days ago probably, he said that a number of the most upvoted feature requests were on the verge of coming out, on the verge of ready. I was talking to some insider for ClickFunnels this week, I won't say who, and he named off at least 3, 4, 5 of them that are right there. They honestly, they were there, they had them, they were doing their final testing, and they're just like, not quite good enough yet. So they pulled them back, which is smart, which I'm glad to see they did that, don't put this stuff out to us until it is dead on ready to go for us, because once you drop it out to us, we want that thing to work.
Right.
And so there's some there you're seeing on the screen, some of the most upvoted ones. So expect to see some of these, especially the ones that say in progress, not the ones that say planned, but the in progress ones, those are the ones that are currently being worked on. So expect to see some of those top ones coming out in the next week or so.
Mm-hmm.
Some of these are so fun. So if you guys don't know how to get to this page, if you go to clickfunnels.com/pulse, it is I'm already there. It's click on feature requests. And if you're logged into your account, you can start upvoting the things that you want them to work on. Like you see this one, it's in progress, but only 32 people did it. So there's going to be a lot that are more buried.
That's a very important one, that because in 1.0, when you're on a two-step order form, and the reason for the two-step order form really was when you clicked submit on page 1 of the form, it would actually save the contact information, so that if somebody bounced on the second step, you still had captured that information and you could still be marketing to them. And so they built out the two-step order form, but apparently, I don't know if they forgot to put that in there or what they did, but it's not working. And that is definitely one of their top priorities, is getting that working to be able to save that information.
Yeah. Yeah. And we've talked about that when we were going through the two-step order form too. We were like, wait a minute, it should be doing this.
A couple weeks ago. Yeah, so if you want to upvote any of these or put in any other feature requests, just come to this page. You can figure it out. It's pretty simple. And then if you scroll back up to the top, Susan, we also have the change log up there, which it'll tell you in there what they've been working on. And a couple of weeks ago, we noticed that, like here, so just this week, they put a new icon on the sidebar for funnels. And as Ben says, he goes, "Our name is ClickFunnels. Put the funnel."
Where's the funnel icon?
Yeah, it had something to do with that getting put in there. I'm not sure. He was all excited about it the other day.
I love it.
But I mean, the nice thing that I see with this change log is when they first came out with it, it was like developer speak. It was blah, blah, blah. Didn't mean anything. Now they actually have little animated GIFs here, or whatever these things are, little screen shares, and actual words that actually explain to you what it is that they did. See, 37 new templates right here. Plus, as you all heard for the last couple of weeks, is Winter Jones is going crazy and just building all kinds of stuff in using AI to build out stuff. Winter's got a whole bunch of stuff coming out. We're hopefully going to have him on next week to talk to him at length about all the crazy stuff he's doing. But we could have him on every week for the next 2 months, and I don't think he'd run out of things to tell us that he's working on. It's just crazy.
True story.
Very true. Okay, so while we're here, I did want to kind of go over a couple of these, because this is the update from the 23rd. A lot of you may have seen this already, but I know I don't look at it as often as I should. So I was checking it out, and we've got some cool things, just some tweaks on some things. They've added a coming soon status where it's really hard to see that, but like where we were able to put our, let me let it cycle back through. So public, coming soon. Now there's also a password protected option. Used to be just public and unlisted right there. So that's interesting to go check out.
I'm going to have to look at this. I missed out on these dates. Seriously.
Yeah. Funnel recipes. I think maybe this is just getting ready. Russell did mention on the Pulse that they will be having full funnel templates coming soon. Right now, it's just like individual page templates that you can go grab. Improved cloning. One thing that I know they're still kind of making some tweaks to the two-step checkout. There's some things done there, but I was like, shortcut keys. That's cool. I want to know about shortcut keys, because that's always fun. So you didn't know there's some shortcut keys that you can do. So come check like this out too, if you want to be faster with your keyboard.
Which I think,
and navigate.
I wonder if they took a play from, if anybody is watching Superhuman. So Superhuman I think he was part of the original team, or if not the person that created Gmail. And He then has branched off and created his own company called Superhuman. And his whole thing is I basically created a company to clean up the mess I had created when I created Gmail. So Superhuman is all about short keys and basically getting you to inbox zero using pretty much just short keys. And it's really fascinating. I played with it for a little while and then I didn't want to pay for it anymore, but it's an amazing
I've
product.
been paying for it for over a year and I cannot give it up. Every
Yeah.
time I go into my regular Gmail inbox, I'm like, oh, this is awful.
Yeah.
I gotta go log into my Superhuman one.
Yeah, we should show
So
that
if you want to know
sometime
more
when-
about it,
Yeah.
maybe we'll do a video on that one sometime and just
Yeah.
show it off.
That explains why you love the short keys, Susan. Because I don't think I understood the power of short keys until Superhuman, right? Like, I mean, the only time that I run into power of short keys is when I'm on with clients and they don't know, like, they don't use Command C, Command Z, Command V. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like,
how
copy
can you
and
live that way?
paste. Right, like when they do the whole right click and like choose copy and paste, I'm like, oh, but you know what I mean. But like, so that was my only daily interaction with short keys until Superhuman just opened my eyes to be like, oh my gosh, the power of short keys changed your life. So it's interesting.
It just makes it more efficient and faster if you can learn them.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was like the big thing I wanted to point out. There's a lot of updates. We're only into marketing. And then I don't even know that I ever looked at this update either, but
it's just the context.
Yeah, there's some from that day. So definitely make sure you're keeping an eye on that. We'll try, if we see things that are like majorly groundbreaking, we'll make sure you guys know about it in case you missed it. Anything else on these pages you want to talk about, or shall we move on to Dan's things for the last 10 minutes?
Let's go, Dan.
All right.
Yeah, that's about all I got, if that much time even. Let me see here. So present, not preset. Share the screen. Ooh, what do I? Okay, yeah. I'm going to share my entire screen. Let's try that.
Oh, while Dan's getting his screen ready, I do want to let you guys know that we do have our events page updated. If you go to cf2.geekout.com/events, our next upcoming Geek Camps are on there. When the times for these live streams are on there, the times for book club is on there. For Geek Camps, I have it all listed out for what we're doing next. So like yesterday we did Should I Switch? Kajabi style. Next week we're going to do Go High Level. So if you want to kind of see what the schedule is looking out for the next month on that series, then it's all in there. And we'll try to keep that updated. So, all right, you ready, Dan?
Oh, and then sorry, I got to do one more plug too. On that event, if you are not a part of our book club, you are missing out, my friends. It is so cool. Like it is. And I don't normally like, I'm not doing this as like a self-brag thing that totally doesn't fit for my just how I operate, but like I've just enjoyed the conversation with the people inside the group and the discussion, and it's been so fun. So anyway, come and hang out because it is a good time. It is a good time. So sorry.
Yeah, and that's so like you guys see us go live into the CF 2.0 Geek Out group for 30 minutes where we're just doing like an overview, but we turn that stream off and then we just like have a fun Geek Out session with our Academy members. And this week, Ben Moot even jumped on and joined us. He's an honorary Academy member. And so he had some really awesome insights too. For we were talking about the value ladder in .com secrets. So if you guys want to come and join in on that, come. It's where all the cool people are hanging out.
Yeah.
Just all you have to do is go to www.geekoutacademy.com/join. Eventually, I will have that domain working better.
Well, we just fixed the other one, so well, just on that note though, right before this, so we took now what do we have here? We have a root domain and the www version of that root domain now pointing towards a singular funnel page. And that's one thing that people have been looking to do. I shot a video last week. It's a long video, but there were so many corner cases of different ways that people could come at it and different possibilities what people might type into their computers that it got to be quite a long video because there was just so many options I had to go through.
Well, and Dan, I don't know how you feel about this, but like I know I'm getting a lot of clients, right, that are like needing help on the technical front and the domain setup and this particular thing. And I think it is one of those things where it's like you don't work with domains every day unless you're in an agency, right? And so it's like it's not an easy thing to remember. There's so many corner cases with different hosting providers and all that stuff. So I'm just gonna throw it out there, Dan, and you can totally shoot me down. But I'm like, I would love to hear from the community if you guys would be interested in a paid workshop where it's like, come 2 hours max, right? And we just knock out your domain, not just the setup anymore, but like it points to the funnels that you want it to point to. And that part is set up. So I don't know how you feel about that, Dan, but I would be interested if the community is interested in it, because I think you can knock it out fast if you just have, you know what I mean?
I definitely can do consulting and people can pay me for that. I don't have a problem with doing a large group call. It's just that it's going to be every single individual and every single individual case. Just like what Susan had there was she had a particular case where she wanted the www and the root all pointing towards the funnel step, whereas the way she had it set up was more that she wanted the triple W being its own separate entity as well. Well, it turns out she didn't want that, and so we had to change it. And so that's what I'm saying. Yeah, there's so many different corner cases and ways you can set this up that it's you just basically got to play around with it until it works.
Yeah.
And I think that the geekoutacademy.com domain, I think it's a separate issue, and that I had it in ClickFunnels 1.0, and now I'm moving it to 2.0, and that introduces some other weird thing that happens with domains. So I think that's a tech support thing, and I just haven't done it. I haven't taken the time to contact them.
Yeah. Well, let's take a look. You and me take a look at that again sometime. But
all right.
You want me to show a couple things here?
Yeah.
Real quick?
I'm going to share your screen now.
Okay. I already did.
Okay. I'm going to make it into the feed. Are you ready?
Yep. I'm ready. Okay. I'm on myself. There we go. Okay. So can you see that?
Yes. The large call to action headline.
Yeah. Before I talk about what's on this page, I want to go through something real quick. Because I was on the funnel builder certification call this morning, and it brought up two of the best things I think that they built into 2.0. And those two things are this layout tab up top here, where you can see the layout of exactly everything that's in the page and can easily access it. Because, sometimes if you don't have enough padding around an element, you can't get in there and you're trying to move around and find things. This is the easiest way to get in here. Just come into here. I want to get to that headline. I click on it. It opens it up. I want to get back out. I click on layout here. I can go to the row. And so it's a real simple way to get to each one of the elements. But the other cool thing here is, let's go back. Well, let's do it this way. So again, you're having trouble trying to get into a row or a column or something like that. Just come to a button or any other element. So we'll just click on this button. And up here at the top, they have the breadcrumbs. So you can backtrack now. So you're in your button. You want to get to the column for that button. You can just backtrack at the top up here and then pick the element that you want to get to. And so just always remember that when you're struggling with moving around on the page, remember those two things because they work great. But the other day, somebody had a question of how can we set it up so that when you input somebody's name and email address and then click a button, it will take them to a Calendly page where it will actually populate their name and their email address. And so this can be done with any type of anything where you're going to be pushing that data through. And Andrea and I were talking about this on something else yesterday. The biggest thing is you have to know is what is the format that the end application wants. So in this case here, Calendly wanted a very specific format. So what I did is I wrote the code so that, let's open this up here, so that what it does is when the page, once somebody hits the submit button on the page, that what it's going to do is it's going to grab their first name, their last name, their email address, and then it's going to put it together into the format right here that Calendly expects it to look like. And then it's going to basically click on that link and take us to Calendly. And so anything like this can be done So as we're talking about people's tech stack and all this kind of stuff, if you want to be passing this information back and forth between these applications, you can be. It's just you have to know exactly what the application wants it to look like when it gets there. And we run into the same stuff with Typeform when we're doing membership sites. Is you have to know exactly what it looks like. And all these kind of hacks that I'm going to show here real quickly, and a lot more. A lot of this stuff's going to be available in the Geek Out stuff. And also, if you're in the Geek Out stuff, you get more access to us, and you get more access to me. And if you need some hacks built or something like that, just let me know, because this is what I live for. I love doing this stuff. The marketing, okay, whatever. The rest of it, I'd rather write code all day long, to be honest with you.
That's why this combination of us works.
Yep. Yep. Very well said.
Yeah. And all right. So what else did I have pulled up here? Oh, this one here. I think I just showed this briefly last week, but this here is an example of how you can use if you come up here to settings, you come down to editor settings, and you click this box right here. It says sections behavior. Allow sections to behave as elements or sections. And you're going to see here again, if we come into our layout and we come down on the page, we have our section out here. But as we come down, we got another section right here. So I was able to put a section inside of a section just by clicking that little box. And because I could do that, then I could set up rows inside of these sections as well. So I could set up a 2-column row inside of a section that is already inside of a row inside of a section. And so this is a real simple way to come in here and build out what, in this case here, is what's it called? An offer stack.
Offer stack.
So I was able to build out this stack very quickly with virtually no code. There's a little bit of CSS, and that was just to get these things to indent a little bit better. Yeah, so here's the entirety of the code that says if it's on desktop, move these over 30 and 60 pixels. That's all there is there.
Yeah.
And that's a lot easier to do that than to try to build that using Flex. I love Flex, but this is so much easier to use than Flex is.
So it's basically like an element inside of an element inside of an element.
Yes. We
Okay.
have our conception thing.
Okay, so there's this amazing, and I'm not trying to make a political statement whatsoever, whether you like the show or not, it's still funny. So there's this one South Park episode that's called Inception, right? Which is like a spinoff Inception. And so I won't tell you the whole story, but basically it's like there's this one point at which they get lost inside of a KFC, inside of a Taco Bell, inside of a KFC, inside of a Taco Bell. Like that's what is you talking about this. Yeah, that's what is going in my head. It's like ClickFunnels inside of a ClickFunnels inside of a ClickFunnels inside of a ClickFunnels.
But it works.
Lost
and
in
it's
the
awesome. Oh my gosh. Like, and before we couldn't make offer stacks like this with just in ClickFunnels. It would have to be a graphic, and you'd be putting a graphic in there, and then your graphic would look crappy on mobile because it's too small. Yeah. Or you would attempt to do it without a graphic and just the elements, and then it would look crappy on mobile because it's not the right format.
Yep.
Right. And it's not
this looks pretty good.
It's not perfect on mobile yet. What I need to do is go in here and tell it that on mobile, when we go to the mobile with, that it should take out the padding at the top. So like this element here has some padding, I think, at the top. And so what I would want is to pull it up a little closer like that, and then maybe put a little more space here. So that's just an issue, a little bit of CSS to clean that up. But it just makes it so much easier to be able to build out something like this. And like I said, it's easier to use than the Flex elements on the page, which to me is still a little wonky sometimes. Let me see, what else did I have open here? Oh, here is tool tips. Somebody's asking for tool tips one day. So I built this out. In fact, let me go to a live version of the page. And so we all know what a tooltip looks like. Normally it has a little question mark somewhere, and you put your mouse over it and the tooltip appears. And so that's what I did here is you can build a tooltip anywhere you want on the page. And then down here at the bottom, what I did is I had them just appear below it. So here I had it appearing off to the side. The code's totally different. This is built with just CSS. This down here actually uses JavaScript. But so you just hover over it and it shows it to you. But the nice thing with doing the lower version here is you can build out entire rows or sections or whatever you want and have them appear right there as you hover over it. So I don't know how
That's
many use cases there are for that, but I just thought that was kind of cool. And then there was a page, actually I sent you guys the page the other day, and when you went onto the page, if you hovered over some text that was in the upper left hand corner, had this cool effect. And so I started playing around with that effect, and this is kind of what I came up with. So I don't know if this has any use again in the real world, but so you hover over it, and then the background, the shadow just slowly moves out from behind it. It moves itself, and increases in size, and it does that.
I think it's fun. I think it's almost like that's a peekaboo, which is totally fun. And then the increasing, it's almost like you could see that as almost being used as like an urgency scarcity type of technique, right? Because it feels like, oh my gosh, something's happening. What's happening? You know what I mean? Like time is running out. Go get it, or I don't know. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Sometimes it's just fun to have things that are fun.
Yeah, there's just so many different simple little animation type things that you can do in CSS now that let me just show you here.
So fun fact, actually, on what you just said, Susan. So fun fact. So most great user experience have a common thing, and it's something that they call delight. But a lot of people are like, well, how do you measure delight? And how do you generate delight? The number one thing that contributes to a customer's delight is surprise. So anything that you can do to introduce good surprise, not bad surprise, obviously, but good surprise actually contributes to customer delight. So fun fact.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, when I went on that page and I just happened to mouse over, it was just words up here in the upper left-hand corner. I just happened to mouse over it, and it did this. It wasn't quite, it only moved a little bit to the top left, and it only had a small shadow on it, more like what I got here. But as soon as I did that, I just stopped. And I was just like, wow, how did they do that? And so I had to figure it out and build my version of it. So I just thought that was kind of cool. But I was going to say, here's the code right there to do that lower one. Here's the code to do the upper one. And this is up here is how you do, sometimes the editor in here gets a little funky. So this here is how I did the tooltip. So if somebody wants to see that, it's right there for you to steal.
There it is.
There it is.
Zoom
right
in
there.
the video and try to type it out without any mistakes.
All right. Well, we may not. Okay. Well, maybe we will look at this one here. So this one here is actually somebody who asked the question in the group. I still got to get back with them because I'm running into problems on this. Because what they wanted was, and I don't know why this is not sure.
Shout out to Jerry. Sir, you are right. I think it's just inevitable when Dan is joining us. Like we go into super geek mode. So good to see you, Jerry, and welcome.
Geek mode. So what the person wanted was to be able to have this in French. And
c'est bon.
Yeah, I don't know.
Probably murdered
I had to Google the translations on here. The problem with it is, let me just show everyone the code, because the code is actually quite simple. All you have to do is go in there and find the element, and then you just say, change out the placeholder to the words you want. And then also there's a label in there, and change out the text. And actually, Susan, pull my video down for just a second, because let me see if I can do this and not have it all populated on the screen. It's not going to let me do it. Okay. All right. Turn my screen back on. I didn't need everybody to see all my personal information. But if you see over here now, when you click on here, you know how it's got that funky thing where it pushes it up to the top, because that's now the, what's the term that they use? I forget what it is. What is it? Come on.
You're right, Susan. I totally missed it.
What are you looking for, Dan?
For a while, I just didn't. I didn't notice the first comment was him. So
focused. That's the word I'm looking for. So when you're in focus state, I don't know what you guys are talking about, but it's a focus state here. So you see how it does this and pushes that up to the top. If somebody wants to get rid of that on all of their funnels, so it doesn't have that horrible, ugly thing anymore, just let me know. I wrote the code for that, and you could just get rid of that functionality because it's like horrible. But either way, so you got two versions of what the words are. You got to change them both. But here's the part why I never got back to the person who wanted this. For the life of me, I cannot figure out how to change the select country or the select state. They will not change. I have tried everything, and I cannot get them to change. So I don't know if it does any good to do the rest and leave select country or select state in there when everything else is in French. So that was kind of where I am. So that was just a couple little things that I was working on last week or so. So that's all I got.
That's amazing. And
thanks for sharing, Dan.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, it's all of these, again, the thing I love about just the journey with you, Dan, is like, you'll show us these, right? And it's like, oh, that's really cool. You know, and at first it's like, oh, he likes to play around with ClickFunnels and make it do stuff, right? And you don't totally make the connection, but it always works this way. And it is fast forward, I'm working on a client project. Fast forward, I'm talking to a client, right? And they're like, oh, I kind of want to do something like this. And it's like, wait a ticket. I know a guy who knows a guy, you know, like, and then it's like your code just comes in handy in terms of, oh, that's how we can accomplish that thing. So we, you know, we talk a lot about geek mods. Everything that Dan just gave is what we would consider a geek mod. It enhances the experience for us to do the things we want to do. And on the surface level, just like the, you know, like the cool little things might seem like, oh, Dan's playing around, good hobby. But inevitably, it is what ultimately allows us to create the experiences that we want to create, is because of all of these little mods that make a big difference in the customer experience. So anyway, just wanted to say thanks again, Dan, for just being a tinker and then sharing that tinkering with all of us.
Well, and the thing I would say with most people is, so you're out there working on a website and you see something, just like, you know, showing the one where you just hover over the words and it moves around a little bit or whatnot. I mean, I saw that on another site. I just said, how'd they do that? And I can't imagine that I'm the only person who goes to a website and says, how'd they do that? And so that's the thing. If you ever have something and have a legitimate thing that you may want to use on your site, not just for the heck of it, I want to see if I can stump Dan. Everything that can be built on any platform can be built into ClickFunnels.
Yeah.
So if you see something on a WordPress site, if you see something on a Kajabi site, anything else, it can be coded into ClickFunnels as well. Yeah. Now, whether you want to go through all the trouble of doing it, that's a different question. But anything you want can be done in ClickFunnels. And as you were saying yesterday, Andrea, on the call about Kajabi, is the ability to be able to write code and to add anything again into 1.0 or 2.0
at no additional cost. Did you know about that, Dan? On the, like, in order to do that in Kajabi, you have to pay $399 a month.
Yeah, I used Kajabi one day for about an hour just to prove somebody wrong that said that something I did was a built-in function in Kajabi, and I had to just go in there and prove it wasn't. But that's my entire experience with Kajabi, because I've been on some Kajabi membership areas, and like we've said before, 2.0 courses are essentially Kajabi, and they both suck because of multi-level upon level upon level. Whereas like with 1.0, you get in the membership area, there's your content. You don't have to go through 5 levels to get to it.
Yep. Absolutely.
Which is so fascinating, because that's one of the hot topics of why people don't like ClickFunnels, or why they're not using ClickFunnels for their course or membership, and they move to something like Kajabi or Teachable or Thinkific because they're like, oh, it's too simple. It's not letting me make it look, you know, all fancy. And it's like, yeah, but you can get carried away, and you're ruining the customer experience if you get carried away. And now look what we have. We have something that's wildly opposite, and we're having to figure out how to simplify it.
Yep.
Well, I personally ultimately think that the best membership site would be combining 1.0 and 2.0 together. So you take the customer center idea from 2.0 and the ability to easily have the different courses all laid out there and all your different products and whatnot on that customer center page. But then when you click on one of the courses, then it opens up the equivalent of 1.0, whereas all the content loads immediately. Every single lesson is on there. You have your navigation, and again, at any point you want to go to another course or whatever, you click the customer center, boom, you go back, jump back into the other course. You combine those two things together, and that would be a perfect membership site.
I love
and
that.
rather than all of the templates. Okay, so if there's any ClickFunnels employees watching this, like, just come talk to us if you want more information about our wants. But like, rather than all of the different levels that they've given us in 2.0, that we can make like, there's one template, and maybe it's not even a template that you can maybe just duplicate every time you need a new one. But that's the membership area, the landing page of that course, which is going to look like a 1.0 membership area, right? But you can have a different style, meaning different branding, colors, for each course that you have. And so really you just need 2 levels.
Yeah. Yep.
We just need 2 levels, not
you
4.
need all of your courses, and then you need the course.
Yes.
That's it. Because
and you can make each course look different.
Yeah, within the course, obviously you're going to have different sections like you would in 1.0, and anybody who's seen what we do with 1.0, we can take a singular course and make it look like it's 5 different courses.
Yep.
And combine them all together. Or we take one singular membership area, because again, it can be done only because all of the content loads on page load. In 2.0, everything is a singular page. And that's one of the biggest problems with us being able to come even close to building what we're building in 1.0.
Yeah.
I mean, that and all. I mean, we can do away with the multiple levels. We can just have it jump from the customer center page directly to the lessons.
Yeah.
That's not terribly difficult. It's just the fact that it doesn't all load. You only load one page at a time is what really kills it.
Yeah.
All right, I think we need to wrap this up. We've been on for like 45 minutes now.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dan, for sharing those awesome things. I did put a link in the stream in the 2.0 group. If you want to come join Geek Out Academy, I spelled come wrong. I'm so sorry. I corrected it in the actual comment in the feed.
You can come too.
Come join Geek Out Academy. You get so much of more value in there. You get access to us on other things. You can ask us questions on our hot seats. We get to geek out and discuss things together during book club, VIP, Geek Out Academy discussion time. And then, like I just said, Dan put the codes up on the screen. So if you want to try typing all of that out and figuring out what it says in the video, great. But I think he'll be putting those things in, making them available for copy paste for Geek Out Academy members. So hopefully I'm not putting words in your mouth, Dan. I think you said that at some point during the stream.
At some point, once we get this thing like really figured out and built out, then definitely. So, but the more people that jump in, the more it's going to hasten us to get it done sooner. So,
yes, exactly. Come join Geek Out Academy so we can push things out faster.
Get this thing done. So.
No, but even like we've had AG, or Arnie is his Facebook name. He came and joined for the first time. He came and joined, was it book club this week? And he's like, oh my gosh, this was worth the price of admission just for coming to the book club discussion. I'm like, got to come to hot seats too and like watch all the trainings we're putting in there. So and we're looking for more ways to add value to that. And that's something we are going to be revealing at some point, but when we have it ready and we are building some cool things for you too. So I think that's it for us. We will be back next week. We have book club Tuesdays, Geek Camp Thursdays, and hot seats for Academy members. And then Friday we'll be back with, hopefully, Winter Jones will be joining us to show off and talk about the really awesome templates that he's been building that hopefully we can all cross our fingers. You've said this, right? This isn't a secret anymore about what he's doing. Right, Dan?
Oh, no, everything that I mentioned, he puts on his Facebook.
He's building templates for ClickFunnels. They should hopefully be live. His amazing, beautiful templates that he's been using AI and just magic over there making them. So we're going to have him on Friday join us and just talk us through more about what that looks like, how he's doing that, and show off some of the templates, I think.
Yeah, it's
I
not
think
just
that's the
full
plan.
page. It's not just full page templates. He's also building sections. I think he said it's like over 200 of them now that you're going to be able to just click and just be able to pop them into your page. I mean, it's just amazing.
I just love that because I thought of that like when 2.0 first launched. I'm like, oh, we should make like templated sections and stuff. And then I just like kind of dropped the ball. But he's the one that should do it because he's not only doing that, he's also trying to solve the problem of like, okay, but how do we like mass import all of these templates and you don't have to click to load every single one of them, like a share funnel file of every single one of them. So he's the one to be doing this. And I'm so glad he's tackling that. I'm so excited.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. We will see you all. Have a great weekend and come join Geek Out Academy.
Yay.